A very good evening to all of you. I hope I am visible and audible. I am Nikita and I welcome you to this MAHCET re-examination crash course. So, you've had one session in this crash course. You now know the strategy to score good marks in MAHCET. Let's have some subject-wise sessions from now. And today we are going to talk about vocabulary and grammar. Right? So, a significant chunk of your paper is vocabulary and grammar, and that's why you should practice these questions so that you sail smoothly through these questions in the exam. Right. So this is what we'll be doing today. We'll look at some vocabulary and grammar question types, and we will see how to approach them, how to eliminate. Of course, in the process, we'll learn new words and concepts. Hi, Ria. How are you? Okay, then. So without further ado, here's the first question on your screens. There are five options because MHCT gives five options. You have to tell me which of the following options is the closest in meaning to the word vagaries. Let's see who answers the fastest and who answers fast as well as accurately. Yes, that's what I want. All right. Hi, Rupali. How are you? Hi, Kevna. So, what do you say? What is the closest word or term to vagaries? Shravasti says A, Ria says C. All right. So, try to recall if you've heard this word in some context. Right? So yes, we are launching a series for CMAT, right? A full-fledged series. I'll just give you the details of it towards the end of the session. Yes, so stay with me. I'll once I go to that slide, I'll give you the details. Yes. So A, C, all right. Most of you say C. Excellent. C is the answer. It means odd actions. I hope you haven't Googled the meaning, right? Vagaries. So I remember reading about vagaries in this context of nature, the vagaries of nature. So let's say a thunderstorm appears, and so the author commented, this is just one example of the vagaries of nature. So vagaries, odd actions, right? Quirks. Nature also has its quirks, right? That's why we have floods, we have earthquakes. So somebody's quirks, somebody's weird habits, okay, odd actions, they are called his or her vagaries, right? So C is the answer here. No other option actually fits. The good thing about this question was that the options were easy. They were not difficult vocabulary words as such, right? So I hope you'll remember it now. Vagaries associated with any person whom you feel has a lot of quirks, idiosyncrasies, weird habits, okay? And you'll remember it. All right, let's have a look at this antonym question. So give me the closest antonym of obfuscate. Yes. Let's see what you say. Okay. So I've got a couple of responses. What about others? Maybe D. Okay. All right. So, just three responses I've got, and I've given you ample time. Let's discuss this question. Obfuscate. See, you had to give me the antonym. First things first, read the question instructions very carefully. Now, the options here help you. How? See, conceal, disguise. Aren't they similar ideas? Conceal, disguise. Yes? So, probably neither of them is the answer, probably. But still, let's have a look at the other options. Hinder is also somehow a negative word. So, disguise, conceal, hinder, right, seem like similar ideas. I'm not saying they are entirely similar. Now, we are left with A versus C, right? Illuminate, clarify. Now, obfuscate, if you recall some context in which you have heard this word, obfuscate is to muddle things up, okay, to conceal. It actually means to conceal, to confuse, to hide, okay, to make something unclear, right, on purpose. That is to obfuscate it. So, the opposite of it is clarify. It is not about really making something dark. So, illuminate is not the opposite. It is rather about muddling things up, making things unclear, confusing your listener, your reader, right? That is to obfuscate. So clarify is the antonym here. Good, those students who said C. C is the answer. I want more responses. I don't know why you're not responding. Yes. No negative marking. Yes. So don't worry. Don't be scared. I'm not judging you. Tell me, what is the word for a person who habitually tells lies? Yes. Let's see what you say. So this is a high frequency word, okay? A, E, all right. And assuming that C is also for this, probably A, okay, all right. Let's have a look at all of these words. Now, in case you've seen any vocabulary book, you've gone through any vocabulary book, let me tell you, these four words, they are high frequency words that I remember reading in Word Par Made Easy. I did it ages back and I still remember reading these words in Word Par Made Easy. Okay, let's have a look at them one by one. So, a person who habitually tells lies is a mendacious person. That is the answer, right? Mendacity is the quality of telling lies, the habit of telling lies. That's the noun form. The adjective form is mendacious. Now, some of you also said E, but E, garrulous, a garrulous person is a talkative person. Okay, a talkative person. A loquacious person is a garrulous person. These are synonyms. Garrulous, talkative, loquacious. Right? So these are not related to telling lies. They are just related to talking a lot. Right? Eliminated. Now, euphemistic, perspicacious. Euphemism. I remember covering this with you in another session when we did various words that begin with the prefix eu. In a recent session, I covered this with you, right? So there I told you that eu means well or good, right? And this theme here refers to a word. Roughly, it refers to a word, right? So euphemism is using an inoffensive word, an inoffensive substitute for a word or a term that people may find offensive. Right. So that's why, we usually don't say toilet, we say washroom or restroom. It's considered relatively politer, right? Similarly, instead of saying she died, we say she passed away, considered politer. These are all euphemisms, right? So euphemistic means that. Perspicacious. Let's break this word. Perspic, and this acious here, it refers to the fact that, okay, I'm turning it into an adjective, having the quality of. So spic is to see. Spectacles also have this root spic, to see. Per means through. So, a perspicacious person can see through things. This person is a discerning person. Okay, this person can make judgments, can judge good from the bad, right? Distinguish good from the bad. Such a person, such an incisive, analytical, discerning person is a perspicacious person. Again, not related to telling lies. So, it's only A that could be our answer. All right, good. Those who said A, mendacious. All right. So in the poem Johnny, Johnny, Johnny is a liar, right? Johnny is mendacious. Associate it with Johnny. Okay. Now, here's a close passage for you. Why did I include a close test? Because again, if you look at your MAHCET previous year papers, in some of the years, we've had close tests. Okay. We've had close passages. So this is a vocabulary based close passage. In a way, it'll cover fill in the blanks also with you. Think of it as a vocabulary based fill in the blank question with 3 blanks, right? So you have to tell me, by first read this sentence, then tell me which word fits the best in the first blank. Read the entire sentence, then only I think you'll get the context. Okay? Let's see what you say. Okay. What do you say? I think I've got one A. Is it for this question, this A? What about others? Me Shanti in the chat box. Yes. C, all right. D, okay. Others? A, okay. All right. Let's have a look. So, that often feature dash characters struggling to find meaning in their dash lives, right? Struggling to find meaning. So, his writing style, what would his writing style be like, right? So, associate it with this phrase. Now let's look at these words. Banal is a fairly common word which means something very routine and boring, right? Routine and boring. So will the writing style, see somebody is struggling. So this does not evoke happy emotions, doesn't it? It rather evokes sad emotions when you find someone struggling to find something as basic as meaning, right? So it'll not be associated so much with boredom as with sorrow or sadness, okay, or even pity. However, pithy is not related to pity. What is pithy? Yes, some of you must have thought of this, that this may be related to pity and therefore can fit. It means something that is very expressive, okay? So something that is succinct yet expressive is pithy. Succinct yet expressive. So you are able to express yourself in a few words. That is a pithy writing style. But such a writing style would suit, let's say, newspaper reports. Yes, because you have to be succinct, but you have to convey the entire event also, what all happened. So again, may not fit here as much. Mellifluous means melodious and harmonious. It does not fit here. It's a positive word. Ornate means very decorative and flowery writing style, using these big words. Yes, flowery and decorative. So again, for someone who's struggling, you would not use ornate. So I think the easiest ones to eliminate were ornate and mellifluous. Okay, then we narrowed down to B, D, and E. Out of these, D is the best bet. Why? Because the word poignant, that's how we pronounce it, not poignant, poignant. The word poignant means something that evokes sadness in a person, evokes sad emotions. So good, those who said D. All right, poignant is the answer. And with this, you learned some new words today. Pithy, banal, in case you did not know banal, right? So, all right. Let's have a look at the second blank now. Right, these are our options. The famous author was known for his poignant writing style that often featured dash characters struggling to find meaning in their dash lives. Yes. Let's see what you say here. What do you say? So this one is a tricky question. I admit this uh, because I can see some of you are struggling in this, right? A is what I've got, all right. See, they're struggling to find meaning. They are probably, that means they are taking steps to find meaning, but then they are struggling at it. So blank 2, you say A, okay, cynical, all right. Cynic is someone who is not trusting of other people, isn't it? A cynic does not trust the people around him, is very negative in his or her outlook. So, will a cynical person try to find meaning? That's my question to you. Will a cynical person even try to find meaning in life? Yes. You struggle at something when you try it, right? So, I feel that a cynical person won't even try. So let's see the other options. B, C, okay. Jaded is bored, unenthusiastic. So again, if someone is already bored, already unenthusiastic, that person again won't struggle. Okay. E, all right. Let's see what E is. It's flawed. Okay. So let's discuss this. I can see very few responses in the chat box. That means probably you find this difficult. See, nuanced is something that I eliminated the fastest. Nuanced characters, nuance simply means characters that have detail to them. They are not superficial characters, they have depth to them, right? So, well created characters by an author. So, nuanced, however, does not fit with the struggle that I see. Perfidious is the one that I eliminated next. Okay, so first D went out of the window, then C went out of the window. Perfidious is somebody who is not trustworthy, who's going to deceive you. Fid is faith, someone you can't have faith in. So, untrustworthy. Again, untrustworthy has nothing to do with struggling to find meaning. So, I eliminated this the next. Then these options, they appeared to be relatively close to me. Particularly, I agree, cynical. When I looked at this question for the first time, cynical appeared appealing to me as well. However, I realized this that jaded is somebody who is bored and unenthusiastic. Such a person would give up on the struggle, right? Similarly, cynical is someone who's already distrustful. So I don't think this person will even think that life has some meaning, right? Because a nihilist is the extreme version of a cynic. So I felt that flawed works because see, the characters, they are not perfect, right? That's why they're struggling. So a perfect person probably won't struggle to find meaning. So flawed characters is something that fitted. Okay, and moreover, the book reviews that I've read, they also mention that okay, the characters are gray, the characters are flawed. Okay, and then we show some struggle of the characters. Okay, so flawed characters struggling to find meaning in their dash lives. Okay. Yes. What kind of lives will these be? Uh, at last of the session, when is the same? Okay, we're starting with the CMAT series from the 23rd. Okay, so from the 23rd to 2nd May, we have a CMAT series, last lap to CMAT, right? So I'll just give you the time also. Let me just cross check with my slide and I'll give you the time as well. 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. every day. So from 23rd April to 2nd May, 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Last lap to CMAT 2023. All right. Okay. B, D, E. Okay. All right. What is desultory? Desultory. A desultory Sunday. I have often heard this in this context, a desultory holiday, a desultory Sunday, right? When you're pretty chilled, when you're pretty casual about things, okay? Desultory means lacking a plan. Inscrutable. What does inscrutable mean? Yes, inscrutable. Scrutiny, all of you understand, right? So when we scrutinize something, we investigate, we examine it. So what kind of lives will be inscrutable? Break it, right? And you will find it. So when you're unable to scrutinize something, when you're unable to, let's say, understand someone's life, so not understandable, when you're unable to interpret. Okay, so complex lives. Okay, miserable. See, miserable. It's a subjective comment on someone's life, right? That oh, they led miserable lives. So this is more to do with the emotions of the people who are leading those lives. So see, they are struggling to find meaning. उनको इतना meaning नहीं मिल रहा है अपनी life में, तो बहुत interesting lives तो होंगी नहीं, right? The lives are not very interesting lives. So the answer is mundane here. In their routine, boring lives. When do you struggle to find meaning? When things become very boring and dull and bland, right? So mundane is the one that fits the best. Ephemeral is something that's very seasonal. It's very short lived. That is ephemeral. So if they know their lives are ephemeral, they're short-lived, then probably they won't struggle to find meaning in it, right? They won't even make the effort, right? Desultory, it already assumes that there is no plan, right? So probably if life itself is aimless, then no point in struggling to find meaning. But yes, if it is boring, then you may struggle to find meaning in it. And that's why the answer is A here. So this was a slightly tricky close passage for you. My aim was to show you how to really analyze the context, okay, and also to make you learn 15 high frequency words through this question set. Right, so I hope now you know and you will remember the meanings of ephemeral, desultory, inscrutable, miserable, and mundane. I'm assuming you knew the meanings. Right? Clear to everyone? Why A? Okay, then. Let's have a look at a phrasal verb question. Phrasal verbs, what are these? Verb plus a preposition or an adverb carrying a fixed meaning. Verb plus a preposition or an adverb carrying a fixed meaning. So, for instance, to call out someone, right? We did this in one of the recent sessions, to call out someone, to call in someone, right? Then to walk out on someone. These are all phrasal verbs. They are like vocabulary words in that they have fixed meanings, right? So let's have a look at this question here. 5 options again. Now, one of these sentences uses this word incorrectly. Okay, there are phrasal verbs here: bore down, bore upon, right? Bear up. So these are the phrasal verbs that have been used. One of them has been used incorrectly. Tell me which one that is. What do you say? Hmm. No response. Yes. What has happened, guys? What do you say? Okay, I'll discuss this only when I get a response, not before that. Okay. Nobody, okay. So, phrasal verbs, they require reading. The long-term way to build your vocabulary of phrasal verbs is to read. Okay. Now, of course, you don't have that kind of time. So, the short-term way is to go through lists of phrasal verbs. One such list is present in Wren and Martin. In case you have the book, go through it. Okay, it has a list of phrasal verbs. Otherwise, there are dedicated apps. Right, there's a website also called phrases.org.uk, which has these lists of phrasal verbs. Go through those lists. Right, that is something that you can do. I've got B and A. Okay, so the answer is D. Okay, D is the one that is incorrect. The others are fine. Let's see the meanings of these phrasal verbs. So I'm writing down here: to bear down. Okay, to bear down all resistance. To bear down is to move towards something in a very focused and intimidating manner. That's when you bear down on someone, okay, bear down on something. You move directly towards that person or that thing in a very intimidating manner. Right. So, after a long war, the Russian troops bore down all resistance. That means they move towards their enemies with focus and intimidation. So, this makes sense, right? So associated with bear means, you have some weight there and you're bearing down on someone. The government policy is again to move directly towards inflation and clamp it down, right? Again, to intimidate inflation. So here we are using it in a metaphorical sense, right? That when we are bearing down on inflation, we are taking strict measures to deal with inflation, right? So here it means strict measures, whereas there it literally meant to move towards someone directly with intimidation. C, her decision to marry bore upon. So, bore upon is the past tense of bear upon. To bear upon means to have an effect on, have an impact on. So, her decision to marry impacted the happiness of her family. Absolutely correct. No errors here. E, to bear up. Bear up. Okay, so this is used usually in the face of adversity, in the face of something bad. So, if you bear up well, in a situation, in an adverse situation, that means you will remain cheerful despite the bad situation, despite the adversity. So they are actually cheerful despite the pressure. Even this is fine. So D, his theory is not borne out. That is what I should have used. Borne out. Past participle of bear out. To bear out means to, in a way, it is not something that is backed by, substantiated by facts. It is not something that is substantiated or supported by facts. You can't verify it. That's the idea. So to bear out is to be substantiated, to be supported, okay, to be evidenced. So आपका आंसर है डी. डी यहाँ पे इनकरेक्ट था. Okay, mind you, today I'm giving you moderate questions, right? The questions that come now, they are based on your usual subject-verb agreement errors. So these are now easy to moderate. The questions that we've done so far, they were more on the moderate side. Okay, so let's go for some grammar now. This was about vocabulary. Here's your first question on grammar. A phrase has been underlined. You have to replace this phrase. Yes. Let's see what you say. Be quick. Let's see what you say. Sanjay says A. Riya C. All right. Avni C. Piyush C. Okay. Shravasti also says C. Okay. Despite having studied for weeks. Despite having studied for weeks. Who studied for weeks? That is not mentioned in this phrase, despite having studied for weeks. Now, immediately after this phrase, I write the difficult exam. Did the exam study for weeks? It didn't, right? So it is incorrect to make exam the subject just next to this phrase. This is a modifier error. Okay? A modifier error. Now, somebody studied for weeks. So the name of that person should come here. The name or the pronoun for that person should come here and not exam. Because this gives the impression that the exam studied for weeks. But it still proved to be difficult. It still proved to be a challenge. So all of these options are incorrect. The answer is D. Despite having studied for weeks, most of the students found the difficult exam challenging. I understand why many of you did not mark D. You must have felt that this is sort of changing the sentence. I agree with you. However, the others are absolutely incorrect because they indicate that the exam studied for weeks, which is illogical. Right? So, D, Delhi is our answer here. Not A, not C. Clear? So do study modifier errors. There are misplaced modifiers. there are dangling modifiers. This was an example of a dangling modifier. Okay. In the absence of the correct subject, this phrase was dangling or hanging midair. It was not modifying the right subject. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at this. 5 options again. E says no correction required. Let me see how many of you have studied the rules of subject-verb agreement. Yes. Okay. So this is an easy question. It's not difficult. Ashmita says B. Others, what do you say? Avni also says B. Okay, another B. Good, good. Excellent. This is the answer. Each of the employees has been asked to submit his or her report by Friday. Each is a pronoun that is always singular. Okay, always singular. And because of that, each of the employees has been asked to submit, again, it cannot be plural, it has to be singular, his or her report by Friday. Okay, have incorrect, there incorrect, and here in D the error is each of the employee. No, see, each, when I say each, her ek, it has to be part of a plural thing, right? So each of the employees, each of the employees, each of the employees is incorrect. Either I can say each employee, that would be fine, each employee, or each of the employees. Okay, so that was the error in D. Good. The answer is B, Bangalore. Let's look at the next question. Here again, so this is just to show you that your examiner can call it a sentence correction question. Your examiner can also call it an error correction question. The meaning is the same. You ultimately have to correct an error. So tell me if there's an error in this and what is the correction. Yes. Ashmita says D. Okay. Others? Ashmita has changed her answer. She now says A. Nidhi says D. Shravasti D. Piyush A. So it's A versus D in the chat box. All right. So that means you're going with none. Why is that the case? Can't there be just 2 students? Yes. So why do you think none fits better? So first of all, A and D are grammatically incorrect. See, none belongs to this category of pronouns called sanam pronouns. Okay, this is an acronym that I've just created for convenience. It means some, all, none, any, majority. Right? Now, if you notice, these are all proportions. Some, let's have a pie chart here. These are all proportions. Some part of it. All, none, any part of it, majority of it. Right? So these are all proportions. Now, proportions by themselves are neither singular nor plural. It depends on what is it that they are a proportion of. So they can be singular also, they can be plural also, depending on the context, depending on the noun which they refer to. Now this is none of the students. Now some students simply assume none means zero. Okay, but again, none can be singular also, plural also. None of the students, because students is plural, I will write were here. None of the students were able to solve. Okay. On the other hand, if let's say you go to buy a watermelon, but you return empty handed, your mother asks you, where is the watermelon? You can say, none was ripe. None was ripe. Okay. Because your mother asked you, where is the watermelon? So you went to buy one watermelon. So you can say none was ripe. Right? So this is the usage of none with was. Now this usage calls for were and not was. Right? So ये तो हो गया wrong. Coming to D. None of the student. Again incorrect. None of the student is incorrect. None of the students. You are talking about multiple students and you are saying not even one of these students. Okay. So at this juncture itself it becomes wrong. We are left with B and C. So a lot of you now say B. Neither of the students was able to solve the difficult math problem. Absolutely correct. So B is the answer. Neither and either. When used alone, see, I'm not saying either or neither nor. I'm saying when used alone, they are always singular. They're just like each. Right? So these are all subject verb agreement rules. I'm not telling you anything fancy, anything new. Right? So just brush them up. Okay. Sorry. So this is your error spotting question, right? That's why it's such a short question. Now, one of these fragments may have an error. Okay, so spot the error if there is one, otherwise E will be your answer. Let's see what you say. Yes, not that difficult a question. So Shravasti says C. All right. Why? I mean, what is your rationale? People were still out and about. What does it mean to be out and about? It's an idiomatic way of saying that, they're going to different places, doing one thing or the other. That's the idea. Okay, let's have a look. A lot of you are saying C. Actually, the incorrect fragment is B. Look at this sentence. Despite the heavy rain last night. Okay, despite the heavy rain last night, comma, that caused, and again after a while there is a comma. Remember studying this, that these commas, these two commas, they are used to convey additional information. They are called parenthetical commas. Yes, parenthetical commas, and they convey additional information. So when we convey additional information, we never use that. We use which. That was the error here. Okay, despite the heavy rain last night, which caused many roads to flood. This is additional information. My main idea that I want to tell you is that despite the heavy rain last night, people were still out and about. Okay, लोग फिर भी घूम रहे थे. So, uh, Acha, you are saying that it should be people are still out and about. No, see, when it was raining last night, people were still out and about at that point, even though it was raining. That's what I'm trying to convey. Okay, all right. घर भी तो जा सकते हैं ना. It's not like they are leaving their homes today morning. That's what you assumed. Good, good, good. Those who identified this, Avni, Piyush, good. All right. Now, look at this question here. It's a preposition question. Tell me what preposition should be used here. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Yeah. Which preposition should be used here? Piyush says A. All right. What about others? Very easy question this is. Come on. I want more responses. Second last question for the day. It has to be during work hours. Absolutely correct. During work hours. Okay. The new company policy prohibits employees from using their personal cell phones during work hours. Oh my God, what will the employees do? Now, look at this and identify the correct sentence. So, 5 sentences are given to you. They are all different sentences. Identify which one is the correct one. If you feel all are incorrect, then E will be your answer. Yes. 4 sentences are given to you. Yes, Avni. Others, what do you say? Avni, they are absolutely the same. Okay, amid and amidst mean the same, among and amongst mean the same. It's just that amidst and amongst are older usages, right? So amid arose later on, right? Amidst is the older usage. Similarly, amongst is the older usage. But you can absolutely use amid and among now, right? Is too redundant in A. Well spotted, Piyush. It is redundant in A. So this too should not come in A. Excellent. All of you who say C, that is the answer. The teacher gave a lecture on grammar. So, gave a lecture on grammar, discussed punctuation, and talked a little bit about syntax. This is the sentence that is parallel in nature. This was a parallelism question. So, we've covered subject-verb agreement today. We've covered pronouns today. We've covered modifiers and parallelism in grammar, right? Whereas others have errors. So the athlete was determined to win, okay, to win, worked hard, okay, even if I try to make it parallel with this, was determined, worked hard, and not to give up, again does not make sense with this. Enjoys reading, hiking, and traveling, it should be. So C is the only one that is correct. Great. So these were a few questions about vocabulary and grammar in MAHCET. Okay, I gave you a flavor of moderate questions today, right? So that when easier questions appear, you find them easier. Okay, and I'll see you with other sessions also in this series, 7 days, this 7-day prep course. Okay, and we are starting with this series Last Lap to CMAT 2023, as I've already announced, from 23rd April to 2nd May, every day at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Okay, so we'll see you. Subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications. These are our CAT 22 toppers. Look at their faces. You can be one of them next year. In case you are interested in joining this program, CAT 2023, right? So we have a lot of material for you here, a lot of expert guidance. The link for this in the description box, you can check it out. And to make this accessible for you, we also have some scholarship programs, right? So you have to take the scholarship test for it at 7 p.m. on 29th. And if you perform well, you can get up to a 90% scholarship. Also, if you're specifically confused about your CAT 2023 VRC strategy, then do attend this workshop by Vikrant sir, where he will talk to you about, he'll clarify all your doubts regarding strategy, right? 22nd April, 7 p.m. And yes, this is an already ongoing series, 100 most expected CMAT questions. So all the CMAT aspirants, this is for you, right? Keep attending, keep working hard. For more material, for more questions, quizzes, do download our app, right? It features daily section-wise quizzes, right? Okay, all right. 500 most expected CAT questions. So those who are preparing for CAT, for you, this series is there. So we have a lot of series for a lot of aspirants, right? Thank you, Kevna. Thank you. That means so much. Thank you, guys. Welcome, Shravasti, Avni. And I'll see you next. Yes, and even MHCET aspirants, they can attend CMAT series as well, because again, vocabulary and grammar portion, they're absolutely similar when it comes to MHCET and CMAT, right? Do subscribe to the channel, do download the app, do follow us on various platforms. I'll see you. Bye bye.